Raymond Hale, a billionaire tech guru, was young, handsome, rich, and influential, so wealthy he owned more cars than he could ever drive. His home stood like a royal estate, admired by everyone who passed by. But behind the beauty of that grand house, something was missing. Something deeply important. Mr. Raymond had a young son named Leo. Leo was 9 years old, bright, curious, and gentle. He had warm eyes and a smile that could soften even the coldest heart. Yet, despite all the riches surrounding him, the house often felt quiet, almost empty. But Leo had not smiled for a very long time. Why? Because his mother was no longer there. Leo's mom had passed away from a long illness. She had been unwell for many months, growing weaker as time went by. Then one day she gently closed her eyes and never opened them again. From that moment, Leo stopped laughing. He stopped playing. He even lost his appetite. Mr. Raymond tried his very best. He brought him all kinds of treats, sandwiches, fruits, pastries, and even Leo's favorite chocolate pudding, but nothing seemed to help. But Leo just shook his head and said quietly, "I want Mommy's food." Every morning, Leo would sit quietly at the wide dining table by the window and stare at the plate in front of him. He would smell the meal, touch it lightly with his spoon, then slowly push it aside. "This isn't Mom's food," he would say, tears welling up in his eyes. Mr. Raymond's heart broke each time he saw this. No amount of money or influence could ease his son's pain. One evening, he knelt beside Leo, wrapped him in his arms, and whispered, "My son, I know you miss your mom so much, but you need to eat. Please." Leo shook his head gently. "Only Mommy's food tastes like love." That night, Mr. Raymond made a firm decision. He called his personal assistant and said, "Travel far and wide. Bring me skilled cooks from different places. Anyone who can make food feel like love again." The following day, the estate was full of activity. Cooks arrived from different regions, filling the kitchens with movement and noise. They prepared warm meals, soft bread rolls, mild stews, seasoned rice, roasted fish, and comforting soups. The house was filled with rich, inviting smells. But when Leo took a bite, each time Leo tasted the food, he frowned. He smelled it carefully, then shook his head. "It's not Mommy's food," he said quietly, his voice heavy with sadness. The cooks looked at one another, confused. Mr. Raymond was exhausted. He rubbed his forehead and slowly sat beside his son. "Then what should I do, my boy?" he asked softly. "Please tell me." Leo looked up at him with small, sorrowful eyes and whispered, "Maybe someone like Mommy can cook for me." Mr. Raymond froze. "Someone like Mommy?" He blinked slowly as the word sank in. Then it struck him. Maybe, just maybe, there was someone out there who cooked from the heart. Someone gentle. Someone like his late wife. And that thought marked the beginning of a new search. Far away on the other side of the city, beyond the glass towers and busy streets, was a poor neighborhood called Willow Creek Settlement. The roads were rough and dusty. Open drains lined the streets, giving off unpleasant smells. The houses were built from old wood and rusted metal sheets. Life there was difficult. Yet in the middle of that hard place lived a young lady named Mara. Mara was only 25 years old. She was slim, graceful, and carried the kindest smile anyone could ever see. Her clothes were worn, her slippers torn, and her hands bore small scars from years of hard work. Every day, before the sun appeared, Mara would tie her headscarf, carry her cooking pot, a bundle of charcoal, and a small pouch of ingredients, then walk to her little cooking corner near the roadside. She had no shop. She didn't even have a roof over her head. Just a narrow open space beside a cracked fence, where she arranged 3 stones to support her pot. She would crouch down, gently fan the charcoal, until the fire came alive, then begin to cook. Mara cooked with love. She cooked with joy. Though she had very little, she poured her heart into every meal, giving her food a warmth that came from deep within. People around the area, bus conductors, motor riders, street vendors, and schoolchildren passing by, all loved Mara's food. They sat on overturned buckets and wooden stools, licked their fingers and smiled. "Mara, this food is so good," they would say, and she would laugh and reply, "As long as you're satisfied, I'm happy." But not everyone was pleased with Mara. Just across the street stood a flashy fast food place, called Golden Bite. Painted in bright orange and white, it attracted only expensive cars and well-dressed customers. The owner of the fast food place was a proud and rude woman named Rita. She always moved around with her friend Lola, Amanda, and Rose. They wore tight clothes, heavy makeup, and behaved like they were better than everyone else. Whenever they drove past Mara's cooking spot in their loud, shiny car, they would slow down, laugh and shout, "Look at that girl again cooking beside the drain. Mara the charcoal cook. Who eats this dirty food?" Sometimes just to mock her, they would park their car and walk over to where Mara was cooking. They would pretend to look at the food. Then suddenly they would kick her small table, or push her cooking pot. One day Lola picked up Mara's hot soup and poured it into the gutter. "You are cooking rubbish," she said. "Who told you to sell food?" The people nearby were very angry. They shouted, "Why would you do that? Mara did nothing to you." But Mara did not fight back. She did not shout. She wiped her tears, sat down quietly and said softly, "God is watching. One day everything will change." That night Mara went home. But her home was not like other homes. It was a small leaking room behind an empty old building. Her mattress was thin and flat. Her curtain had holes. She sat on the floor, hugged her knees and looked up. She whispered, "God, I'm not asking for wealth. I just want peace. I just want to cook and be happy." What Mara didn't know was this. Far away in the largest house in the city, a young boy was crying. He was the only son of a billionaire. He wasn't crying for toys or clothes, but for food that tasted like love. Very soon Mara's charcoal-cooked meals would be the answer to that cry. The next day, Mara woke up early as she always did. She tied her scarf, gathered her cooking pot, charcoal, and a small bag of ingredients. Her stomach was empty, but she smiled quietly and said to herself, "Today will be a better day." She walked along the dusty path to her cooking spot and knelt to light the fire. Soon the air was filled with the warm smell of fried onions, peppers, and palm oil. Children passing by paused to enjoy the scent. A bus driver stopped to buy a plate of rice and beans. An old man brought an empty container to take some of her soup. Even with all her struggles, Mara's food brought happiness to people. That was her joy. As the sun climbed higher, something surprising happened. A black luxury car slowly pulled up near her cooking area. The windows were dark and the doors opened. A tall, well-dressed man stepped out, followed by one other man. Mara froze, her hand still stirring the pot. People around her looked up and whispered, "Who are these visitors?" The tall man walked up to her, his face serious. "Are you the one who cooks here every day?" he asked. Mara looked around, unsure. She wiped her hands on a cloth and said softly, "Yes, sir, I am." He nodded and held up his phone. "Please come with us. Someone very important wants to meet you." Mara stepped back, frightened. "But why? What did I do?" "I didn't take anything." The man said quickly, "You're not in any trouble. We just need your help. Please." Mara glanced at her half-finished pot of soup, then at the people around, whispering and watching. Her hands shook as she picked up her bag and followed them. They drove far, leaving the settlement behind, passing clean streets and neighborhoods Mara had never seen. When they arrived at a tall, guarded gate, her eyes widened. The compound was massive, like a palace from a dream. They helped her out of the car and led her inside. In the center of a large living room sat Mr. Raymond Hale, the tech billionaire. He looked tired, his suit neat but his heart heavy. Next to him was little Leo sitting on the couch with a toy, his cheeks pale and his eyes weary. When he saw Mara, he widened his eyes in surprise. Mr. Raymond stood slowly and spoke. "This is the lady." "Yes, sir," one of the security men answered. Mr. Raymond turned to Mara. "Miss, I'm sorry for bringing you here this way, but I've tried everything. My son hasn't eaten since his mother passed. I've called chefs from all over, but he only wants food like his mom made. Yesterday I thought, maybe someone who cooks with love like his mommy could help. That's why we brought you." Mara opened her mouth slightly. She looked at the little boy. Their eyes met. Leo slowly got up and walked to her. He looked at her face, then took her hand. "You smell like Mommy's kitchen," he whispered. Tears ran down Mara's cheeks. She bent down and hugged him gently. For the first time in many months, Leo smiled. Mr. Raymond's heart jumped. He asked quickly, "Can you cook something for him?" "Anything. Just let him taste food again." Mara wiped her tears, stood up and said softly, "I'll do my best." And that's how Mara, the poor girl from the settlement, stepped into the billionaire's kitchen. She washed her hands, tied her scarf tight, and asked for simple ingredients: onions, peppers, palm oil, dried fish, and crayfish. She lit the fire just like she did on the roadside. The kitchen soon filled with the warm smell of home-cooked food. Leo ran in. He sniffed the air and smiled wide. "That's it. That's Mommy's smell." When Mara served the food and put a plate in front of him, everyone watched quietly. Leo took a spoon, then another and another. Then he laughed, a happy, joyful laugh. It's just like Mommy's food. Mr. Raymond sat down and covered his face. Tears fell. For the first time since his wife died, he felt hope again. Mara, the girl who once cooked with charcoal by the roadside, was now holding the heart of a billionaire's son. From that day, everything changed for Mara. Mr. Raymond was so moved he didn't wait. He told the staff, "Prepare a room for her in the guest house. From now on, Mara will stay here." Mara's eyes opened wide in surprise and happiness. "So, you mean I will live here?" Mara asked. Mr. Raymond nodded. "Yes. You are the only one who made my son eat again. You are not just a cook now. You are family." Mara couldn't believe it. Just the day before, she had been cooking by the roadside under the hot sun, surrounded by teasing and hunger. And now she was in a golden kitchen, cooking for the richest man's son. Later that night, after Mara had bathed and changed into clean clothes given by the staff, she sat on her soft new bed in the guest house. She ran her hand over the white sheets and whispered, "God, is this real?" Meanwhile, little Leo didn't want to sleep until Mara came to his room. She sat beside his bed. "Can I call you Auntie Mara?" he asked, his eyes heavy with sleep. Mara smiled softly and nodded. "Yes, my dear. You can call me whatever you like." Leo yawned, rested his head on his teddy bear and whispered, "Thank you for bringing back Mommy's taste." Mara gently patted his hair until he fell asleep. But not everyone was happy. Far away in Willow Creek Settlement, Rita and her friend Lola sat in their usual spot at Golden Bite Restaurant. Lola was scrolling through her phone when she suddenly stopped. "Wait, isn't this that roadside cook?" she exclaimed. Rita leaned over. "Let me see." They all stared at the screen. It was a picture posted by a popular news blog. Billionaire's son eats for the first time in months thanks to a poor roadside cook named Mara. Rita's face turned red with jealousy. What nonsense is this? That same Mara, cooking inside the billionaire's mansion. Lola hissed, "What did she cook?" "Charcoal rice." They all laughed bitterly, but deep down it hurt them. They remembered how they used to tease her, throw away her food and call her dirty. And now she was inside a palace. Rita threw her phone onto the table and stood up angrily. "I must see this with my own eyes." Back in the mansion, Mara was settling into her new routine. She woke early, tied her scarf and began to cook breakfast. Even the other staff started to love her. One of the housemaids, Mary, walked up to her and said, "Auntie Mara, your food tastes like home. Even the gods would enjoy this." Mara laughed shyly. "I just put my heart into it." Mr. Raymond watched from a distance, smiling and shaking his head. "How did a girl from the settlement bring so much peace into my house?" he thought. He walked closer and said, "I want to thank you again. You didn't just cook food. You healed my son." Mara smiled and bowed slightly. "I'm just doing what I know how to do." Mr. Raymond paused, staring at her a little longer. There was something about Mara, something pure, strong and familiar. His heart stirred, though he didn't know why. Suddenly, the gate security radioed in. "Sir, 2 ladies at the gate. They say they know Mara and want to see her." Mr. Raymond raised his brow. "Send me their names." A few seconds later, the message arrived. Rita and Lola. He turned slowly to Mara. "Do you know them?" Her smile vanished. Her hands shook. Her heart raced. "Yes, sir. They are from where I came from." Mr. Raymond folded his arms. "Should I let them in?" Mara swallowed hard. She looked at her pot of soup, then up at him and said quietly, "Yes, sir. Let them in." Because Mara was no longer the same girl they had mocked. The large golden gate slowly opened, and a black SUV rolled in with Rita and Lola, seated in the back. Their faces were made up with makeup, but behind it all, their shock was clear. They couldn't believe their eyes. The compound was enormous. The gardens were neatly trimmed, the floors shining like glass, and security men stood at every corner. Everything screamed wealth. "Is this really where Mara lives now?" Lola whispered. Rita folded her arms tightly. "I don't care where she lives. She's still the same street girl in my eyes." The driver parked and a guard opened the door for them. Inside, Mara waited beside Mr. Raymond. Her hands were cold, her heart heavy, but she stood tall. She wouldn't show weakness, not now. Soon, the ladies walked into the luxury living room. Their heels clicked loudly on the marble floor. When they saw Mara standing beside Mr. Raymond, they froze. Their mouths opened slightly. Mara wore a simple, neat dress. Her scarf was clean and her skin looked fresh. There was no trace of the suffering they once mocked. Rita forced a fake smile. "Mara, wow, you look different." Mara didn't smile back. She looked at them calmly. What do you want? Lola blinked. We just came to see if the news was true. Rita added, You really live here? Mr. Raymond stepped forward. She doesn't just live here. She's the reason my son is alive and happy. And yes, she is now under my care. Rita's smile faltered, her pride cracking. But she's just a roadside girl. Mr. Raymond looked at her without flinching. You judge her by where she came from. I see her heart. And that heart saved my child. Rita bit her lip, speechless. Lola stayed calm. The room felt heavy. Then something unexpected happened. Little Leo came running down the stairs with his teddy bear, calling, Auntie Mara. Auntie Mara. When he reached the living room and saw the women, he frowned. Mr. Raymond smiled gently. They are old acquaintances of Auntie Mara. Leo crossed his arms and looked back at them. They don't look very nice, he said plainly. Rita's face burned with embarrassment. Mara gently took Leo's hand. Sweetheart, let's go finish your lunch, she said. As they walked away, Mr. Raymond turned to the women. I think it's time for you to leave. Mara is no longer the girl you knew. She is respected here. Rita opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Slowly, she turned and walked away, Lola following, their heels clicking softly like defeated footsteps. Back in the kitchen, Mara helped Leo finish his food and wiped his little mouth. Leo giggled. Auntie Mara, can I grow up and cook like you? Mara laughed gently. Yes, my love. And even better. From the hallway, Mr. Raymond watched them. There was something peaceful about the scene, like his house had found light again. He turned to his personal assistant. Prepare a contract. I want Mara to become Leo's full-time caregiver, and I want to help her build something of her own. The assistant blinked. Something like what? Mr. Raymond smiled. Her own restaurant. Her name deserves to shine. Mara didn't know that yet. She was just happy to see Leo eating, laughing, and growing again. She had no idea her life was about to take an even bigger turn. That evening, the sky was painted soft orange. Birds were flying home, and a quiet breeze moved through the tall trees around Mr. Raymond's mansion. Inside, everything felt calm. Mara was in the kitchen, quietly washing plates. She had just finished preparing a light dinner for Leo. Mashed yam with garden egg sauce, just the way he liked it. Leo had eaten and gone to bed, humming a song his late mother used to sing. Mr. Raymond walked into the kitchen. He watched Mara for a moment. She didn't notice him. Her hands moved gently as she scrubbed the plates, humming softly, just like a mother would. Mara, he said gently. She looked up quickly and wiped her wet hands on her apron. Good evening, sir. Mr. Raymond smiled. You don't have to call me sir anymore. Just Raymond is fine. Mara smiled shyly and nodded. Okay, Raymond. He walked closer and leaned on the marble table. Mara, I have something to tell you. She stopped. Is something wrong? He shook his head. No. Everything is perfect. You brought joy back into this house. My son laughs again. He sleeps peacefully. He eats happily. And you made that possible. Mara looked down, feeling emotional. He continued, I want to help you, Mara. You once told me that all you wanted was peace and a chance to cook. So I've decided to open a restaurant for you. A place where you can cook the way you love and serve people from your heart. Mara's eyes widened. A restaurant for me? Mr. Raymond nodded. Yes, fully yours. I will fund it. I will provide everything you need. You have a gift, Mara. The world needs to taste it. Mara covered her mouth, trying not to cry. He turned to Mr. Raymond. I don't know what to say. Mr. Raymond smiled. Just say yes. Mara nodded slowly, tears in her eyes. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. He reached out and gently touched her shoulders. You deserve it. A month later, a beautiful signboard appeared in front of a brand new building in the heart of the city. It read, Mara's Kitchen, the taste of love. The opening day was full of excitement. People came out of curiosity and because they had heard of the woman who made the tech billionaire's son eat again. Mara stood inside her new restaurant wearing a clean chef coat. Her scarf was neatly tied. The kitchen behind her sparkled with all the ingredients and tools she could ever dream of. The first customer walked in. It was a taxi driver from Willow Creek Settlement. Mara, you're the owner of this place? He asked in wonder. Mara smiled brightly. Yes, come in. You were one of the first to believe in my cooking. Soon more people came. Even journalists arrived to take pictures and ask questions. Mr. Raymond and little Leo sat at a special table near the window. Mara served them herself, placing a hot plate of jollof rice with pepper chicken in front of them. Leo smiled and clapped his hands. This is the smell of mommy's love. The crowd cheered. Cameras flashed. Everyone wanted a taste of Mara's food. Outside, standing in the corner with sunglasses on, was Rita. She watched in silence, her heart burning with jealousy. That poor girl really made it, she whispered. Lola stood beside her, speechless. Rita turned and walked away, but deep inside she wasn't finished yet. Mara's success was just beginning, and so was the storm that was coming. From the first day, Mara's kitchen became the talk of the city, always full of customers. People lined up even before sunrise just to try her meals. Mara's cooking wasn't just delicious, it carried something deeper. A taste of home, a feeling of love, and the calm that came from a pure heart. Soon, food bloggers, TV crews, and even tourists started coming to see her. Mara stayed humble. Every morning, she knelt by her bed and said a quick prayer before heading to her restaurant. She still prepared most of the dishes herself and tied her scarf the same way she had by the roadside. Inside the restaurant, a small corner held a golden plaque that read, "In honor of Leo's mother, whose flavor lives on." Mr. Raymond and Leo visited every weekend. Mara became like a second mother to Leo. She helped him with schoolwork, brushed his hair, and tucked him into bed whenever he stayed at the mansion. Their connection grew stronger each day. One evening after closing, Mara stepped outside and gazed at the starry sky. A gentle breeze brushed past her. Footsteps approached. It was Mr. Raymond. He walked up and stood beside her. "Mara," he said softly, "do you know how proud I am of you?" Mara smiled. "You gave me this chance, Raymond." He shook his head gently. Customers began gathering up before daylight just to enjoy her food. Mara's meals were not only tasty, they carried something special. A feeling of home, a touch of love, and the calm that comes from a pure heart. Food bloggers, TV crews, and even visitors from far places started coming. One evening after closing the restaurant, Mara stepped outside and looked up at the sky. The stars were bright and the breeze was gentle. She heard footsteps behind her. It was Mr. Raymond. He stood beside her. "Mara," he said softly, "do you know how proud I am of you?" Mara smiled. "You gave me a chance, sir." He chuckled lightly. "Please, just call me Raymond." They shared a quiet laugh. After a short silence, Raymond looked at her seriously. "I can't imagine my life, or Leo's life, without you. You brought joy back to my son and you gave me peace again. You are more than his caregiver. You are family." Mara looked at him, surprised. "What are you saying, Raymond?" Raymond reached into his pocket and brought out a small velvet box. Inside was a simple but beautiful ring. "Mara, will you marry me?" Mara gasped, her hands flying to her chest. For a moment she couldn't speak. "Me? You want to marry me?" Raymond nodded. "Yes. Not because you cook well. Not just because you healed my son. But because of your heart, your strength, and your kindness. You are everything I didn't even know I was praying for." Tears rolled down Mara's cheeks as she whispered, "Yes, yes, Raymond. I will." He slipped the ring onto her finger and they embraced under the stars. Months later, their wedding became the talk of the city. It was grand but full of meaning. Mara wore a simple white gown, holding Leo's hand as she walked down the aisle. The crowd stood, clapping and smiling. People from Riverlane trenches arrived in buses, dressed in their best. The taxi driver, the old man with soup containers, the shoemaker, even the woman who once shared onions with Mara when she had nothing. Rita and Lola watched the wedding online. Rita switched it off angrily. "I should have treated her better," she muttered. But for Mara that chapter was closed. She had forgiven. She had moved on. She had bloomed. 2 years later, Mara stood on the balcony of her new home, gently rocking her baby girl. Leo stood beside her, laughing as he held his schoolbook. Raymond joined them and wrapped an arm around Mara's shoulders. "I never thought I could be this happy again," he whispered. Mara smiled and looked up at the sky. Sometimes all a person needs is a chance and a little love. Down the street, a new branch of Mara's kitchen was opening. The signboard still carried the words that started it all. "Season with love." Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Your support means everything to us.